Union developed the Global Gateway Africa-Europe Investment Package, which is a comprehensive initiative aimed at mobilizing at least 150 billion euros in investment by 2027 to support sustainable development in Africa. The package's objectives and priorities align seamlessly with the African Union's Agenda 2063. The package was announced at the 2022 African Union-European Union Summit in Brussels, during which both sides reaffirmed in their joint vision for 2030 their commitment to supporting industrialization in Africa and the development of sustainable and resilient value and supply chains. We have now reached a critical juncture where the global order is undergoing significant transformations. In light of these challenges, it is imperative that the Global Gateway Africa-Europe Investment Package transitions from its initial phase to a full-scale implementation, from startup to scale-up. To illustrate this, I would like to highlight a few examples. The European Union has established bilateral partnerships with a number of African countries to promote sustainable raw material value chains, with an additional 10 partnerships in place with countries worldwide. These partnerships support local value creation while ensuring the EU's secure, sustainable, and resilient access to critical raw materials. In implementing these partnerships, we are guided by the highest environmental, social, and governance standards to ensure long-term benefits for local communities and partner countries. In addition to these bilateral endeavors, the European Union is committed to supporting good governance, transparency, and social protection in the critical raw materials value chain. Globally, the European Union adhere to and support initiatives such as the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiatives, of which it is the larger donor. In Africa, we strengthen governance frameworks and technical capacities through instruments such as the PANAF-GEO Plus program. The PANAF-GEO Plus program is an exemplary model of Africa-Europe collaboration, yielding tangible impacts and mutual benefits. By training African geoscientists in core areas such as natural resource management, responsible mining, and environmental protection, the program contributes to increasing African-owned geological knowledge and skills for sustainable mineral exploitation and related infrastructure, and for natural disaster prevention and mitigation. Lastly, the European Union is proud to provide institutional support to the African Minerals Development Center, which aims to ensure that African countries maximize returns from extractive industries and safeguard the continent's strategic interests. In this regard, I would like to extend our congratulations to Dr. Quito and the team on obtaining the final endorsement for the Green Minerals Strategy at the 38th African Union Summit. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we convene today, the announcement of the first clean trade and investment partnership between the European Union and the government of South Africa is still fresh. This partnership aims to secure raw materials, clean energy, and clean technologies for Europe's green transition, while offering South Africa an attractive financial package to consolidate cooperation in areas such as science and technology, education, climate action, peace and security, health, and critical minerals. This will be the first of the next generation deals concluded under the Africa-Europe Investment Package and a model for subsequent agreements with other countries. So let me conclude by saying that we do look forward to further strengthening our cooperation on the implementation of the African mining vision. And of course, I wish you fruitful discussions and deliberations over the next few days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Azoni. Distinguished guests, our next speaker is also a leader known for his strategic vision and commitment to development across Africa. His wealth of experience in fostering sustainable progress within the mining sector. Please join me in welcoming the Director of UNDP Regional Service Center of Africa, Mr. Matthias Nab.
I'm not sure about the strategic part. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, esteemed partners, ladies and gentlemen, let me recognize my sister, Mrs. Osman, Director, Industry, Minerals, Entrepreneurship, and Tourism of the African Union. I also like to recognize Mr. Gianluca Azzoni, Head of Policy Cooperation Section of the EU Delegation to the AU. My dear brother, Anthony Brandt, from the OSCPS, and my very own sister, Marit Kitao, who has been shepherding this institution for the last 2.5+ years. It is my honor to welcome you to the third African Forum on Mining hosted here at the African Union Commission headquarters in Addis Ababa. And for those of you coming from outside Addis, I'm sure you already know how to say salamno. Salamno. Thank you. That means, how are you? Today we gather under the theme, the Africa Mining Vision at 16, achievements, challenges, and opportunities. 16 years ago, the African Mining Vision was adopted as a transformative blueprint for our continent's mineral resources. It envisioned a future where Africa's mineral wealth would no longer be seen as a curse, but as a catalyst for broad-based socioeconomic development, industrialization, and environmental sustainability. As we reflect on this journey, we celebrate the progress made. Let us confront the challenges that remain and explore the opportunities that lie ahead in a rapidly evolving global landscape. Over the past 16 years, the AMV has achieved significant milestones. The establishment of the African Minerals Development Center, AMDC, in 2013 marked a pivotal step in operationalizing the AMV. Through its work, the AMDC has supported member states in developing policies, strengthening governance frameworks, and promoting sustainable mining practices. These achievements are a testament to the collective efforts of governments, regional economic communities, private sector players, and development partners. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the long-standing partnership between the African Union and the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP. UNDP has been a steadfast ally in advancing the AMV agenda. Through this support, a letter of agreement has been signed with the AUC in 2018 to operationalize the AMDC, resulting in co-sponsoring and co-organizing the first edition of the Africa Forum on Mining, held in December 2019, in my own country, the Gold Coast, now Ghana, with more than 200 participants attending. The African Union, AFDB, and UNDP came together to organize the first forum, which put the AMV at the center of continental level debate and facilitated the adoption for structural economic transformation of the continent based on its vast mineral wealth. UNDP then subsequently supported the transition of AMDC from its first phase when it was hosted by UNECA and co-funded by Australia and Canada. As a direct result of that forum, a new AMV action plan and the AMDC strategic business plan were subsequently developed by AMDC with support of UNDP. These instruments guided our concerted efforts to operationalize the AMDC in its current form. I would like to express our sincere appreciation to the European Union and the Organization for African, Caribbean, and Pacific States for their partnership, on the basis of which EU has been providing the core financial support for AMDC through UNDP, without which none of the achievements of the AMDC that we are witnessing today would have been possible. In fact, European Union support allowed to crowd in further resources from other partners in support of AMDC, including from EU's other funding windows aligned to the Global Gateway Team Europe Technical Assistance Facility to support AFCFTA and continental economic integration, and via EU member states, Spain and France. In the same vein, I want to also acknowledge the instrumental role of other AMDC strategic partners, such as the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, the AFDB, Afrexim Bank, regional economic communities, AUDA, NEPAD, and civil society organizations, as they spared no effort to collaborate and implement joint initiatives with the center. Your contributions have been invaluable, and we look forward to continuing this partnership as we work together for a brighter future for Africa. I also acknowledge the Open Society Foundation, which has made the Third Africa Forum on Mining possible, with support from the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, International IDEA. Ladies and gentlemen, under the core institutional support, the AMDC has been re-established in 2022, hosted by the AUC in these very headquarters, with 4 regular staff headed by the interim director, Dr. Marit Kitao. As soon as COVID subsided, AMDC organized the second Africa Mining Forum to bring together the Africa mining and development community. Today, we are opening the third Africa Forum on mining, where we will hear about the achievements and outreach of AMDC and see the partnerships built and leveraged by AMDC for delivering its mandate across the continent. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, esteemed partners, ladies and gentlemen, AMDC in this current phase has been instrumental in advancing the key continental agendas, in particular the most recent African Green Mineral Strategy. These initiatives are critical in ensuring that Africa's mineral resources contribute to sustainable development and inclusive growth. AMDC has advanced harmonization of geological and mineral information systems across the continent to ensure that decision makers manage mineral resources in a coherent manner and build linkages between African capital markets to attract investments. It helps strengthen the role and visibility of artisanal and small-scale mining, where initiatives have empowered artisanal and small-scale mining actors, particularly women in gemstone and jewelry value chains. AMDC advocated for Africa's mineral development and mineral-based industrialization agenda in the global fora, in particular the panel on critical energy transition minerals of the UN Secretary General. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, despite these successes, challenges remain. Many African countries continue to grapple with issues such as weak governance structures that hinder equitable benefit sharing, environmental degradation caused by unsustainable mining practices, limited capacity to leverage mineral resources for industrialization and value addition, illicit financial flows who deprive our economies of much-needed resources, and extensive informality in mining, which leaves people and communities behind. The global shift, as spoken about by my colleague who spoke earlier, toward the green energy transition and digital economy acceleration presents tremendous opportunities for growth, industrialization, and infrastructure building in Africa. And the aforementioned green mineral strategy is the framework to guide this green growth. Africa's minerals are strategic for its development and critical for the global economy and industrialization and infrastructure building in Africa. While supplying minerals to the green transition, Africa needs to ensure that this demand translates into tangible benefits for our people, fostering inclusive and sustainable growth at home. AMV cannot be realized in isolation. It requires the collective efforts of governments, the private sector, civil society, and regional organizations. Partnerships are key to addressing the complex challenges facing the mining sector and unlocking its full potential. Indeed, a coalition of the willing. I urge all stakeholders to use this forum as an opportunity to share knowledge and best practices, identify innovative solutions to persistent challenges, and to strengthen our partnerships that will drive the AMV's implementation forward. In closing, despite new and emerging challenges, the African Mining Vision is even more relevant today as it was 16 years ago. It is a call to action for all of us to ensure that Africa's mineral wealth becomes a cornerstone for long-term development and prosperity. Let us use this forum to reflect, collaborate, and innovate. Together, we can build a mining sector that is not only economically viable, but also socially inclusive and environmentally sustainable. UNDP, as a strategic partner for the AMDC, stands ready to support the AUC and work closely with partners to further develop the center into a full-fledged specialized agency for minerals development on the continent. Thank you for your commitment to this vision, and I wish you all fruitful deliberations. Amaseginalo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matthias. Let us use this forum to collaborate and innovate. And now to officially welcome us to this forum, the Africa Forum on Mining. We are honored to hear from the driving force behind industry, minerals, entrepreneurship, and tourism across this continent. It is my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Ron Osman, Director, IMET at the Department of Economic Development, Tourism, Trade, Industry, and Mining at the African Union. A round of applause.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Let me double my eyes. Mr. Matthias Nab, Director, UNDP Regional Service Center. John Luca from the European Union delegation, and Mr. Anthony Brand, ORCP. My sister, Dr. Marit Kito, Interim Director, AMDC. I would also like to recognize my dear sister, Dr. Amani Asfour, President of the African Business Council, but also my brother, Frank Mugeni, from Madi now, but one of the fathers of the AMV and the AMDC. I can see a lot of brothers and sisters, Cherry, Rokaya. I cannot call all of you by your name, but I'm very happy that you all made the time and the efforts to join us in this important meeting for Africa holds the key to the world's ambitions for a just energy transition. Our continent is endowed with an unparalleled abundance of critical green minerals, from cobalt, lithium, and rare earth elements to nickel and copper. These resources are vital not only for advancing renewable energy technologies and electric mobility, but also for industrializing and moving up the value chains toward manufacturing and local processing of minerals, while also ensuring global energy security and meeting climate goals. However, the challenge lies in transforming this potential into equitable, sustainable growth for Africa while contributing to global progress. Indeed, it's the realization that Africa was not fully benefiting from its minerals for its people's prosperity is exactly what inspired the Africa Mining Vision 16 years ago, and it's also at the heart of the Africa Green Mineral Strategy, which was just adopted by the Africa Union Executive Council in February 2025, a few days back. The African Green Mineral Strategy is an initiative aligned with the principle of the Africa Mining Vision and the Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. This strategy underscores Africa's commitment to harnessing its green minerals for the benefit of its peoples, fostering sustainable development while supporting the global green energy transition. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we embark on this forum. As we embark on this forum, it's essential to reflect on our achievement over the past years. The African Union Commission has played a pivotal role in driving Africa's mining agenda forward, making significant strides in policy development, governance, and enhancing the mineral-based industrialization process, from strengthening geological and information system to improving the inclusivity of the sector through the active involvement of women and youth. We have witnessed positive shifts. Our AMDC team will make a dedicated presentation on the work that has been done. While we have made progress, there are still significant challenges that need to be addressed. Member states needs to ratify the status of the AMDC to enable it to pursue its mandate. While 15 ratifications are required for AMDC to become a fully fledged specialized agency, there are currently only 4 ratifications and 12 signatures. There needs to be a momentum building toward the ratification of the AMDC statutes, and there are also persistent challenges hindering the full realization of the AMV goals. This includes issues related to governance, skills, technology, research, development and innovation, inadequate infrastructure and energy, as well as lack of financial resources. During our discussion, let us dedicate time to analyze these persistent challenges and identifying innovative ways to overcome them. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we also stand at the threshold of a great opportunity, the global shift in the energy landscape, particularly the green energy transition, present and unique moment for Africa to leverage its rich mineral resources for sustainable development. This forum will be critical in exploring the ways in which we can harness opportunities in value addition, technological innovation, and the growing demand for critical green minerals. Together, we must navigate this transition with foresight and strategy, ensuring that Africa's mining sector is positioned as a key player in the global economy of tomorrow. Equally important is the need to foster greater collaboration among all stakeholders, government, private sector players, civil society organizations, and regional entities must work together to promote sustainable resource governance, strengthen regional partnership, and ensure that Africa's mineral wealth benefit its people from generations to come. This forum is a platform for forging and strengthening these essential partnerships. As we look ahead, the outcomes of this forum will be critical in shaping the trajectory of Africa's mining sector. We seek practical recommendations to address the challenges we face, and we look forward for forming partnerships that will drive sustainable mineral resources development across our continent. In closing, I urge all of us to approach these discussions with open mind, a spirit of collaboration, and a shared commitment to build a brighter, more sustainable future for Africa's mining sector. Let us work together to turn challenges into opportunities and opportunities into tangible progress for our communities and our nations. Before I conclude, I would like to thank the team of the AMDC that put tremendous efforts to make this happen and to make it a successful event. I would like also to thank the UNDP for the support to the AUC through the AMDC, but also the European Union, the ORCP, and the Open Society Foundation. I would like to thank all of you that came and contributed in any manner to the success of this event. And I would like to wish all of us fruitful discussion and a successful forum. I declare the forum open.
Thank you very much, Madam Ron. May I request for another round of applause for all our speakers, please? Ladies and gentlemen, from all the speeches we have had, there were key buzzwords: collaboration, partnerships, innovation, and all that. And that just reminds us that, as they say, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Thank you very much to our dear speakers. At this point, we invite all participants to join us for a group photo right in front of the famous Nelson Mandela Plenary Hall, followed by a 15 to 30 minute health break. Please return promptly in 30 minutes as we continue with a keynote address presentation from Dr. Marit Kitao, the Interim Director of the AMDC, as well as the AMDC team on different thematic areas of the program. I thank you. I have announced the photo. Yeah, for everyone. Yeah, I've announced. So you then? I have announced the photo. We are going to Nelson Mandela.
Aliko Dangote, thank you so much for speaking to Bloomberg. You have the refinery, it's opened. How does it feel? It feels like a milestone from the outside. How does it feel for you?
I think it feels really great. It is really a great achievement. It's something that 90% of the entire world did not really give us a chance. Nobody really believed we can pull it off, but we did. And, it is a great satisfaction to me personally as a person and also to the organization. So I think we've done very, very well. And there are quite a lot of things when you look at where we're coming from. Nigeria being an oil-producing country, and we've been importing petroleum products for the last 35 years. It just doesn't make sense.
I mean, from the outside, it looks quite difficult. Any regrets?
I think no regret. I would have said that, yes, maybe a bit of regret if we hadn't succeeded in delivering. But, to tell you the truth, it was a it was a monster. Monster in the sense that, like what I keep telling people, if I knew how difficult it was sort of putting this kind of, edifice, this kind of refinery, I wouldn't have started at all. But, but by the time we realized that it was a very difficult thing, we had already started. So we had no choice than to deliver.
But what's the hardest bit? So you have a relationship with the government, they're getting rid of subsidies, you have to find the crude, you refine it, you sell it back.
I think that is not really only the hardest part. The hardest part, Francine, is delivering the project on its own. We never ever expected the kind of challenges that we face. We launched the project in 2013, and then we had a lot of problems with the state governments. It's not the federal government, because we have 3 tiers of government. So while we bought a land, it was in a state not far away from Lagos, and the guy dribbled us for almost about 3.5 years. And we had to now move the refinery to Lagos. We got to Lagos, we had community issues. So it took us really 5 years to start. Just battling here and there. After we had already taken loans of about 2.4 billion to start, and interest was counting. But then still, we went ahead. Then again, the challenges of building that kind of, project, we realized that, we had to build our own port. We built the port. After building the port, we realized that nobody could supply us with cranes, equipment. So we had to take something that people don't know or they don't realize. What we did now, we now made ourselves as the EPC contractor, which is engineering, procurement, and construction. So we did it on our own. And because we have never, ever handled this kind of project, this kind of project are handled by SIFEM, by Bechtel, the big guys. But we took that challenge. And that is why people believe that, no, it will never work.
So the government wants to get rid of subsidies. Will your refinery help with that?
Well, the government, subsidy is a very sensitive issue. If, I believe the problem is not only the subsidy, it is problem that, once you are subsidizing something, then people will be blotting the numbers and government will end up paying what they are not supposed to be paying. But this, our refinery, will bring quite a lot of issues out there. It will show the real consumption of Nigeria. Because, nobody can tell you. Some people say it's 60 million liters of gasoline per day. Some say, no, it's less. But right now, if you look at it, by us producing, everything can be counted.
Right.
So everything can be accounted for. And most of the trucks or ships that will come and load from us, we are going to actually, put a tracker on them to be sure they are going to take the oil within Nigeria. And that, I think, can help the government to save quite a lot of money.
So do you think it's the right time to get rid of the subsidies?
I think it is, because all countries have actually gotten rid of subsidies. Let me give you an example. Saudi Arabia used to give what Saudis, the citizens, believe that, look, oil is our own God-given gift. So the government shouldn't charge us for it. So government were selling it at a very low price. But today, as we speak, gasoline is about 40% cheaper in Nigeria than in Saudi Arabia, which I think it doesn't make sense. That is one. Number two, our price of gasoline is about 60% of the price of our neighboring countries. And we have very porous borders. So it is not sustainable. You know, I mean, the amount of subsidies that were paid, government cannot afford those subsidies.
So do you need the government to take away the subsidies for your refinery to be viable?
Well, you see, we have a choice of either when we produce, we export, and when we produce, we sell locally. But we're a private company. And yes, it's true, we have to make a profit. We build something worth $20 billion, so definitely we have to make money. The removal of subsidy is totally dependent on the government, not on us. We cannot change, price. But I think, the government will have to, give up something for something, So I think at the end of the day, the subsidy will have to go. But what we have done now, with the government, which I think I must really thank the President of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, very creative idea that, okay, fine, you know what, we will sell you the crude in Naira, you also sell in Naira. So now we are working out for the exchange rate. It's going to be price, normal pricing, if crude is at $80, Brent, we will pay that price. We'll use an agreed exchange rate, and then we will also sell in the domestic market. What that will do is that it's going to remove 40% pressure on the Naira. So, because you see, the petroleum products consume about 40% of our foreign exchange. So, and then, it's like you have 40% of demand being taken out. So that can actually stabilize the Naira. That's one. Number two, the government will now know, even if they are going to subsidize, they will know what is the real consumption. Because right now, nobody can tell you what you are consuming. It's all guesswork. So that can help in terms of stabilizing the market. That can also help in terms of removing queues, because we have a lot of queues, and these queues are not there today. They've been on and off since 1972, for the last 52 years.
But so what does it mean in dealing with Naira instead of dollar? What does it mean for your group? Is it a benefit, or actually it just gives the government something that they want?
I think really is to give the government something that they want. It's a win-win, you see, because the issue is that, yes, we are Nigerians, and we have to also do something to show that, yes, we do care. And part of caring is to now agree with the government that, okay, fine, let's go ahead and do this with them, because it will be very awkward for somebody like me or our group to come and say that, no, we want to deal in, dollars. I think it's a win-win, and it will benefit the country quite a lot. The whole thing is actually, okay, fine, what do we leave as a legacy? And I think doing this, by even making sure that, yes, we've taken Nigeria out of an oil, petroleum product import country for the first time in the history of Nigeria, is a great milestone, which, I'm very, very proud about.
So how's the relationship with the government? I know there's a number of negotiations, including the price of gasoline. What kind of offering have you made?
I think we have quite a good relationship, today, with the government. And, where the president actually put the Minister of Finance and also Minister of the Coordination of the Economy, and then the Special Advisor Revenue, very smart guy, Zach Adedeji, and they are working out something which I think it will be a win-win between us and the NNPC. If NNPCs, that is Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, if their refineries, if they start to work, then Nigeria will be one of the biggest exporters of petroleum products in Africa. In Africa, only 2 countries are self-sufficient, which is Algeria and Libya, but all other countries are importers of petroleum products.
So what kind of agreement are you expecting actually with NNPC?
I think the kind of agreement that we're expecting is to have a very robust agreement where, first of all, we have energy security, where there won't be
Where they give you crude.
They will give us crude.
Yeah.
Already we have agreed, like for example, in October, they're going to give us 12 million barrels, which is averagely about 390,000 barrels a day, which will sell both gasoline, diesel, and aviation fuel. And if there's any excess, we'll export. But you know, our refinery is also versatile, where we are producing a lot of things. It's not only these three things that I mentioned. We're also into polypropylene, you know, which is petrochemical, which 80% of it is also to be exported. But 20% is what the demand is in Nigeria, which will also sell to help a lot of plastic industries. So, but with the government, I think the agreement would be that, okay, fine, when we take that one, we will now sell to everybody. So it means that 50% or 60% of our petrol stations that have not been working or they've been out of work, everybody will now be at work. Right. It will reduce the cost of having ships floating all over Lome, and you know, I mean, paying demurrage. Demurrage alone, we're going to save over $1 billion.
I mean, there seems to be disagreements on how you price your gasoline with NNPC. Have you settled on a price? Can you give us a bit more clarity on what's going on?
Well, okay, what is going on? There was, it wasn't really a disagreement per se. NNPC bought from us this particular one on the 15th of September. At the international price, which they also bought about over 800,000 metric tons of gasoline imported. So the one that they bought from us actually is cheaper than the one they are importing. And so when they announced our price, the guy, I don't know whether he was authorized or, but it wasn't really the real price. What they have announced, yes, most likely that is what it cost them, including profit, including whatever, you know, which they have never added profit to their cost. And then the other one is the one that they imported, but the people don't know how much they spent in terms of the import, but their own importation one is almost maybe about 15-20% more expensive than ours, you know. So what they're supposed to do is to sell at a basket price, or if they want to remove subsidy, they can announce that they've removed subsidy, which is okay. Everybody, you know, will adjust to it.
But you're not worried, Aliko, that some of the oil majors, because of their vast resources, can sell for cheaper?
Well, yes, most likely, you know, because in business, it's, you know, I've said this in my interview before, where I said that I never knew that the oil industry mafia are stronger than the drug cartel. It's a big cartel. You know, I will say this anywhere. The issue is that you are right. They can say, okay, fine, you know, to make sure that this refinery doesn't work, we'll keep selling cheaper. But right now, they won't be able to sell cheaper because they will not be able to take local currency. We will take local currency. We have the refining capacity, not only to satisfy Nigeria, we have refining capacity that is almost twice the consumption of Nigeria.
But you're also confident that you can strike a deal with authorities?
No, we will. We'll definitely strike a deal. The president has announced
soon.
It's going to start 1st of October. You know, so I think between now and the next couple of days, they will come out with a very, very clean agreement.
It's a pretty big accusation that you say, you know, they're run like a cartel and they could price me out. What's your ideal scenario? So how much of the crude would you refine and sell domestically? Like if you have a blueprint of the kind of agreement that works for you, for NNPC, and for the government, what does it look like?
Well, that agreement will look quite okay because we're going to now have a discussion with the government where we will have the one for the domestic market, which government will not give anybody $1 to go and buy. So people will now, we're going to have like a circular economy in the sense that all the transactions will remain within Nigeria, you know, bankers, letters of credit, or everything will be in naira. But the one that we are going to export, we also have our own plans to make sure that, yes, we don't fall in the hands of some of these sharks. We have our own plans, and we're also planning. As they are planning, we're also planning our own, because we have to plan to survive, and I'm sure we'll do so.
Does refining Nigerian crude actually shorten the yields for the refinery?
No, it doesn't shorten the yield. It gives even a very good yield. But we have to mix different Nigerian one, the WTI, Brazilian, so a couple of this, we have to do that. It depends on what you call the LP model. So if we do that, then we will know which one we'll have in terms of yield. But our refinery also is designed to produce 93% of high valued things, from polypropylene, gasoline, diesel, aviation fuel, very small naphtha. Naphtha will only have about 36,000 tons. And then the raw materials for carbon black. But the low residue, which is the cheapest product, is less than 7%. So that makes our refinery, to be a very profitable, refinery. But this is something that you build for a long time. It's not something that you use. If it's question about making money, you look at it in the last 7 years. If we as a group had taken this money we invested in stocks of Microsoft, in Tesla, in Google, I mean, our worthiness would have been over $100 and something billion.
But you're confident you can make this work. Are you going to invest more in the sector? Why not go upstream?
We know. Well, upstream, we're in also upstream, not big. We have 2 oil blocks, which we have, and we're starting production this October.
Yeah.
But we want to look at more of the downstream, because in oil you can produce over 6,800 items. So now we're doing polypropylene. Yeah. We're going to double our size in polypropylene. We're going to also do about 500,000 tons of polyethylene. And then, we're also doing on the other side a different company, which is also owned by us. We're doing about 3 million tons of urea. So we will also double that. So there is lab benzene, which is raw material for making detergent. And nobody produces that in Africa. So these are the smaller projects which we want to do. And we want to really try and achieve this in the next 2.5 years.
So you wouldn't invest in actually getting the oil out of the ground?
Well, I think I don't want to put too much money there. No. I already have one. If any cheap asset comes around, we can pick it. But is it the intention of our group to make sure that we produce our own raw material? We're not going to do that. We will not target to go and produce 300,000-400,000 barrels per day. We don't have that plan as we speak today.
There was confusion. The NNPC was meant to take 20% of the refinery. It's now 7%.
Yes.
What happened?
What happened, I think we agree with them. We gave them a good deal. Well, we said, okay, fine. We structured an agreement. The first agreement was that they're going to pay us $1 billion. The deal was about $2.79 billion. And then the balance of the money, $1 billion, which they paid us about 1.5 years ago. And then the balance of the money was split into 2. One portion is that every crude they supply to us 300,000 barrels. Then we'll deduct $2. Yeah. And then up to the time they finish paying that, 1/3. The other 1/3 will come out of their own profit. So what NNPC opted out that no. It's a little bit confused. I mean, it's a bit of a confusion. They want this agreement to be changed where they want to pay cash. They don't want it that way. So we say, okay, fine. We sign another agreement, canceling the other one. The new agreement that we signed was for them to pay us After 1 year, no interest, nothing. After 1 year, they will pay us the balance of 1.8 billion. The month for them to pay was June. And June, they came back to us and said, no, they've changed their minds. They want to remain at 7.2%. So, okay, fine. So we left it. And we own now the rest of the shares. They own 7.2%. And we own the balance of the shares. And that's what it is. But I think they made a big mistake.
But it'll stay that way. There's no negotiation or talks.
No, there's no negotiation. The agreement, that one is finished, dead, completed, is 7.2%. That's where we are right now.
And like, why did the offices actually get raided in January?
Well, the issue is there was nothing, you know. I mean, they came to us and said, okay, fine, they are looking for some documents. I say, what are these documents? No, you are bidding in terms of, you know, foreign exchange. And say, okay, yeah, we have this, but you're asking for 15 years documents. But anyway, we have them. So we sent the people out there to go and take the documents. Say, no, go back. We're going to come to your office. You know, and they before we knew it, you know, they were already in our office. The office really was not raided. They visited the office and they didn't talk to anybody. They did not arrest anybody. They just came and, you know, and left just to register an embarrassment. And that's all. But, you know, the way we run our own organization, and that is why when you look at it, Francine, we're the highest tax-paying corporation in Nigeria. Our company paid in 2023 more taxes than the entire banking industry. And that is why, you know, so whatever that we do, because we know that, yes, we're up there. Yeah. Anybody, whether it's a new government or whatever happens, we're the first port of call. Yeah. So that's why our own behavior has to be 100% clean.
And that's settled. You don't expect, I mean, that's what happened settled. In January, that's done.
Settled, you know, and if any time somebody wants to ask us, okay, fine, what about your own tax? What about this? Fine, we don't have any issue. You know, people really don't understand also what we add to the economy, but in a very short period of time, people will do understand our own contributions to the economy.
Like your fertilizer plant is only, what, 50% of capacity?
It was 50% capacity, but in the last in the last 1 month or so, we have enough gas. So we have started now running at about 85%. You know, I hope it will continue. But you know, there's also the gas, which is they call it OB3. OB3 is a gas pipeline which is bringing gas from the east to the west, because in the west they have industries. So that's why the demand is. In the east, the gas is there, but no demand. If they have that, which they promise that they're going to finish in October, then we'll have more gas than we needed. You know, so I think that issue is being resolved, and that is why we are also trying to invest more by putting up another plant to double our fertilizer plant from 3 million to 6 million tons.
So the refinery's built. I know you're the biggest Arsenal, one of the biggest Arsenal fans I know. And do you still want to buy the club?
Francine, I think that time has passed. And the last time when we had this interview, I told you that, yes, as soon as I finish with the refinery, I'm going to try and buy Arsenal. But the issue is that, you know, everything has gone up. And the clubs too, they're all doing very well. Arsenal is doing extremely very well. That time, Arsenal wasn't doing well. I think, you know, I don't have that kind of excess liquidity to go and buy a club for $4 billion, so to speak, and, you know, use it as a promotional something. And, you know, I'd rather do something with the money. What I will do, I will continue to be the biggest fan of Arsenal. I watch their, you know, games every day. Anytime that they are playing, I will watch. So I will remain a major supporter of Arsenal, but I don't think if it makes sense today to buy Arsenal.
Do you regret not buying it before? Last time we spoke?
Actually, I regret not buying it before, but, you know, my money was more needed in completing my project than buying Arsenal.
So you would have bought it, what, for 2 billion?
I would have bought it for 2 billion, yeah, but I wouldn't have been able to finish my project. So it's either finish your project or go and buy Arsenal. And I think the best decision was for us to now go and complete our refinery, of which a lot of people don't believe it was going to work. You remember you interviewed me about this refinery, and our refinery really has been it has been a discussion point all over the world.
Yes.
Because our capacity is about 1.1% of the entire global refining capacity.
Not without challenges.
Of course,
it's had challenges.
With a lot of challenges, a lot.
But would you do it all over again?
I wouldn't do this kind of huge refinery project again. You can see, I told somebody, doing this refinery is what actually, gave me my gray hair.
Thank you, Aliko, for your time today.
Thank you so much, Francine. Great seeing you, and I hope we'll see you very soon again.
Welcome to Kigali, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming us here.
Full house here. I want to begin with, we're all here at the Africa CEO Forum. We've had 2 days of great conversation. So the most important thing for both of you, starting with you, Mr. Poyane, Total Energy is in more than 30 countries across the continent, upstream and downstream. What are you excited about in Africa right now?
Africa for us is a part of our history. We are celebrating our 100-year anniversary. We have not been there for 100 years, but it's really one of the strong anchor of the company. And we're excited because first, the continent has a growing population, growing market, which is good. And of course, it's a continent full of natural resources, not only traditionally oil and gas, but it's also for us, as we have moved from Total to Total Energies, a very good earth to deploy our multi-energy strategy, which is also investing in renewables. And by the way, it's making somewhere circling the loop, because historically we were producing oil and gas to export the energy. Now, because of electricity, because we are in fact an electricity producer, we produce electricity and we deploy also some LPG investments in the continent for the population in the continent. So this multi-energy strategy for me is reconciling the oil and gas resource for export, but giving revenues, but also for the people of the continent. And I remind you that Total Energy is the only big major company which has kept all its retail network. We have 4,800 stations in 45 countries. So for us, it's part of, I would say, Africa is part of the family of Total Energies.
All right, and Al-Haji, you have operations across more than a dozen countries. What are you most excited about on the continent right now?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to the Africa CEO conference this year. And I must thank His Excellency for inviting me personally, to be here. And that's why I'm here. Well, I'm very, very excited because the growth going forward, the future is Africa. We have whatever it takes to make Africa great. And I think that is why I'm not only putting in my own, money, I'm putting my soul and life in Africa to make Africa great. Like what I keep saying, nothing is impossible in Africa. Africa is like a scratch card. Unless you scratch it, you know what number it is, or you won't be able to use it. So that is why, for some of us, despite the boom of the capital market of the US, Google, Microsoft, and the rest, we didn't really participate. We took all our money and invested. In the last 7 years, we have invested more than $25 billion in terms of making Africa self-sufficient in fertilizer, in petrochemicals, in refined products, and also continue with the expansion of our cement business. So what we have right now, we also say, okay, fine, is it possible for an African company to grow this big? And we had this dream just about 5 years ago, and we say, okay, we want to move from 5 billion revenue to 30 billion revenue. Is it possible? And we made it happen. It's possible now, we've done it, and we have actually finished our own refinery. Our refinery is quite big. It is something that we believe Africa needs, because we now looked at it and said, okay, fine. In Africa, do we really refine the oil we consume? Do we really refine the oil we produce? The answer is no. And you look for the entire continent, there are only 2 countries that don't import petroleum product, which is a tragedy. I mean, only Morocco, not only Algeria and Libya, but the rest are all importers. So we need to really change by making sure that, yes, we just don't go and produce raw material, we should produce finished products and create jobs. One of the things that we need to know as also Africans is that, yes, we produce raw materials, we export them. When you export raw materials and somebody now keep importing things into your continent and be dumping goods, what you are importing poverty and exporting jobs out. So we have to change the narrative.
You've spent, thank you. You mentioned investing $25 billion in the last few years. 20 billion of that went into just this refinery, which is the largest on the continent. It opened a year ago. What is the impact so far of that having come on stream?
There is quite of impact. We just commissioned in February. We've started now, we're producing jet fuel, we're producing gasoline, diesel. By next month, we'll be producing gasoline. But what that will do is that it will be able to take most of the African crudes that are being produced and also be able to supply not only Nigeria. Our capacity is too big for Nigeria, but it will be able to supply in West Africa, Central Africa, and also South Africa. We have 650,000 metric tons of, 650,000 barrels per day. We have 1 million tons of polypropylene. We have 590,000 carbon black, raw materials for, making ink, dyes, and co. And then we are expanding more. This is the first phase. We're actually going now to the next phase, which will start early next year.
All right. And an investment like this, Mr. Puyane, is also significant for your business across the continent, because often we don't value add the crude we produce here. We have to then re-import it. The fuel we buy from your stations across the continent doesn't come from here.
Yeah. No, but thanks to this event, and thank you to Mr. Kagame to invited me, we made this morning the first deal between both of us. So
you made the first deal with the Dangote refinery.
I can tell you. We met here, and because of the refinery, we said together, okay, look, we are a big crude producer in Nigeria, but also in other countries, and we are also a big off-taker of products for the continent, so we should find a way to work a deal. So the 2 CEOs met with our head of trading, and we find a way to convince them to make a deal. So I think it's giving, it's a right, it's a stone, an important stone to develop a business. When you have this type of mammoth investments, you create certainly an activity like what we are doing, what we'll do what we are doing in Uganda by producing this oil onshore Uganda. I know it's a lot of debate, but I can tell you it will be a source of developing industries around this production of oil, like what we will do in Mozambique. When we will develop this project in Mozambique, it will be also a source, not only for exporting energy, but by the way, we plan to take domestic gas to Maputo to produce electricity. So all that is the way we should think of that. It's not only to export oil, but to add value in the continent, and then you will deploy more activity, not only in